everyone, and welcome to another edition of Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome my next guest, Bilbo Bassaterra. How are you?
With a lot of hot, to be honest. We are in the middle of heatwave, as usual, in Spain. But I'm very happy to be here with you, Ria. Thank you for the opportunity to be here explaining what we have been doing.
Yes, I'm going to say to all my guests out there, if you don't recognize him, you probably should. He's been in every single newspaper across the face of the planet as of recently, as well as broadcast video. I think the video has gone viral. He is a co-founder of Futuro Vegetal. And yeah, tell us a little bit about your foundation.
We are a civil disobedience collective. What we are trying to do is to face the climate crisis using civil disobedience to create a problem for the governments that they have to solve. If we think that if we have enough people just messing around the whole time, they cannot put us all in jail. So they have to find other ways to solve this situation. So what we're trying to do is to create this problem because we are facing a so much bigger problem. Yeah, we are trying to mitigate the impact of the climate crisis. Here in Spain, what we are suffering already is an enormous drought. We have been in a drought situation for 2.5 years already. In the topic of Futura Vegetal, normally is the industrial farming, the animal farming especially, because here in Spain, we are known as the farm of Europe because we are producing a lot of meat, especially for France and for China, which doesn't make too much sense having in consideration that we are a country that doesn't have a lot of water. So what we are trying to do normally is to force the government to take all the subsidies that are currently being to the industrial farming, which is actually led by a bunch of 4 or 5 families very wealthy, and to put this money into the promotion of alternatives more responsible with the environment, with the people. Also, we are living in the territory based on plant-based, because it's what basically is because what science is saying, that we have to change our diets also. But currently we have been leading a week of actions in Ibiza that was promoted by Extinction Rebellion.
I noticed that since you started hitting social media, et cetera, it was mainly targeted at, for example, restaurants and that kind of thing. And it just seems like this spring, you came over and joined Extinction Rebellion in sort of a bigger fight, as it were. And they have a name for this campaign.
The campaign is called YACHTS and YACHTS. The party is over. I think it's a very cool name, by the way. They were asking people to come to the island, to Ibiza, to do actions against this kind of industry of the luxury tourism. We thought that it was like a really big opportunity to target some of the people who are more responsible of the climate crisis. The richest 1% of the population pollute the same amount than the 53% tourists. So it's obviously that there is some kind of responsibility for what they are doing that is harming everyone. And we saw this opportunity to come here. And to be honest, it's Ibiza, it's summer. Okay. It looked like a good idea. And we hope that it was going to have a lot of repercussion in social media, in the newspapers, etc. We couldn't imagine this repercussion. We have been in newspapers all around the world. It's been really crazy. Well, it's like, who can disagree with some people targeting really privileged people, a small amount of people who are destroying the world? When you are targeting all the meat industry, there are a lot of people who doesn't understand, who thinks that what you're trying to do is to turn them vegan. So they take it as an attack to them. But then we saw this opportunity of going against a small amount of very wealthy people that are destroying the common beings in the world. And we thought, okay, this is going to make us earn some sympathy from the people, because when you speak with the general public, no one agrees with what the rich people are doing to the world.
Some of the comments that I saw across social media was that you're a bunch of people that have nothing better to do than live off a system that's giving you welfare money or social money or whatever, and you're just damaging other people's things because you're not busy enough. What do you say to that?
Actually, I'm a lawyer, and the woman that made the action of the mega yacht with me is doctor. So we have our own jobs and we can live our lives and look to the other things. I understand that there are some kind of pressure from the media and from the society put on the normal people in the working class to become some kind of mega rich. Everyone wants to have a mega yacht and everyone wants to have a jet and all this kind of stuff. So I understand that there are some people who don't understand what we are doing and they take this like also as a little bit as an attack because they think, no, when I have my mega yacht, I don't want some stupid guy to come here with me. I can understand that. But the real thing is that they are not going to be ever the owners of a mega yacht. It's reserved for a little amount of people in the world. It's logical. We don't have enough resources to provide mega yachts to everyone. When you see these kind of comments, it's quite sad because you see people going against someone who is fighting and being exposed to prison, to violence, to a lot of stuff that are quite difficult to process. And they are charging against them, instead of going against the ones who are putting them in a shitty situation. So it's quite sad, actually.
Do you find that there's a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to climate change? Leonardo DiCaprio, for example, in 2017, he was named a United Nations Messenger of Peace with a special focus on climate change. And in the past 2 years alone, from what I can see, he has been on a yacht for a few months at the very least. And this certain yacht, just for example, produces as much carbon by sailing 7 miles as an average car does in an entire year. Now, on top of that, he is also flying to and from his yacht, I think on the Italian coast at the moment, via helicopter to go to dinner every night. Do you think that the UN is doing the right thing? Do you think that we as people are just sheeple? Are we not thinking? Why do we accept this kind of behavior and why is it allowed to go on? And why is it celebrated for that matter?
That's a good question. I think that we accept this kind of behaviors because it's been quite normalized. The working class is used to see rich people doing whatever they want. And we say, okay, no, they're rich people. They can do what they want. Actually, we have a lot of comments on Twitter saying, hey, respect private property. If I have money and I want to buy a mega yacht, I can buy it. And it's okay. I understand that if you want to have your house, it's normal that everyone respects your house, or your vehicle or something like that. But these super rich people, if they have a mega yacht, it's because there are a lot of people who are suffering from other situations, so they can afford that. That's not fair. That's not logical. Regarding all the hypocrisy around the climate change, obviously, DiCaprio and all these people have a lot of responsibility, but for me, it's more harmful the hypocrisy of the governments. They are saying that they are doing actions against the climate change. Surprise, it's a lie. When you see what the science are asking them to do and what they are doing, they are not even trying. What they are doing is to put some kind of makeup so they can say, no, we are doing some stuff. You can see we are promoting the electric car. Okay, the electric car also consumes a lot of resources. Also, it means a lot of suffering in the mines and etc. It's also promoting the cars industry that has become very wealthy because of the climate change. In the end, what they just doing is bringing money to our enormous corporation that has a lot of responsibility in climate change. They are not promoting people to have a more sustainable life. They are not trying to make the working class people to have more ways of enjoying their free time rather than going to a supermarket. It's like, maybe we should all just stop for a while and talk to each other and realize that we have an enormous problem with our political class, with the rich ones, and say, okay, if we are more than them, why are we still supporting all of this?
That brings it over to government. Now, The Western world is known as having either a capitalist government or a democracy. Now, democracy is people ruled by people. Capitalism is the ability to make as much and buy as much as you possibly want. They're two sort of separate forms of government, and there's a little bit more that goes into it, but let's keep it short and simple. And then there's a plutocracy. Now, do you think that we are at the stage of a plutocracy where a government is bought and paid for, the decisions are being made straight across the Western world, where taxes are being implemented that benefit the wealthy, that enable them to legally have tax evasion, that enable them to literally, in a lot of places, pay zero tax? In doing some of the research, I saw there's a new word that's come out of the United States. It's called philanthrocapitalism. Now, essentially what it is that they are able to make charitable donation, but there's been a split in those charitable donations. Now, everybody says, oh, charitable donations, they're not getting a tax break. The United States has managed to circumvent that, and I'm not sure if it's just the United States or if it's many other countries in the world. But there is two different types of charity. One is real charity, and the other is donor-advised funds. Now, they both help you the same way, but donor-advised funds is something that doesn't really have any follow-up. You could literally donate $500 billion into a donor-advised fund, and it could sit there for 20 years. You've done the donation, but you could get that back. So there's just no accountability. There's no accountability. In the States alone, right now, the average American is paying 10% taxes for federal tax. There's other taxes, of course, in every country. The 25 richest billionaires are paying 3.4%. There's something wrong with that system. And that's what enables us to see year upon year record super yacht sales, people buying 1, 2, 3, 4, one after the other. The wealth gap is increasing, and we are supposed to be able to expect that we can have water, we can have governance, we can have law, and we can have justice. And health, for that matter, in the United States. That doesn't exist. The poor people don't get health. The poor people don't get justice. The poor people are targeted by the law. And the government is constantly making taxes to improve the top 25 billionaires' income in the States. How is that working as a planet going forward? How is that working for 99% of the population? And how can we make a change? How can we make it better?
I think there are 2 important points. First of all is that while we are living in an economic system where we prioritize to just make profits constantly at any cost, you cannot have democracy, because then what you are legitimizing is that big companies, the big polluters also, will be paying the politicians to do what they want, because here the rule is the strongest one. I have to grow constantly, so the people who are putting money here they will continue putting money, etc. So this is one of the first problems. We cannot have democracy if we have an economic system that is giving prices to the people who are the wealthiest. And that's one of the points. And the other one is, how can we change it? I think that civil disobedience has worked in the past. For example, in the United States, there were a lot of demonstrations against the Vietnam War, and they can stop it. We have seen also all the protests regarding the racial issues in the United States, the freedom riders, etc., that leads to the black people in the States earning more rights and some good position in society. So we have these kind of tools that have been creating changes in the world for a long time. In my opinion, we have to use it. We have the right to disobey the law when the law is unfair. We cannot support a whole system that is leading us to an eco-social collapse. There is no sense if the institutions cannot guarantee us our health, or food, a house, the minimum, so we can live in. I don't think that no one is asking to have a mega yacht. We are just asking to have food every day. If the institution cannot guarantee that, then why do we have to obey? We don't have any reason to continue with this. So I think we are in a moment of the history of humanity where we have to massively say, no, we don't want to continue with that. This is harmful for us. This is harmful for the animals. This is harmful for the environment. It's harmful for everyone except for the mega rich. We have to stop this. And the way to stop is to not collaborate, to say, no, enough is enough. We are going to go to do demonstrations. We are going to throw paint in a boat. We can do a lot of different stuff that makes a direct impact on the economy also, on what we are living nowadays. So I think that the point here is to disobey, is to say, no, I don't want to continue collaborating with this.
Do you think in a sense that the politicians we elect and the governments that we elect and the police that we pay and the laws that are enacted, because the wealthy don't tend to pay the tax that they're supposed to pay and hide a lot of it, do we have a right to say that the system works for us, it shouldn't work for them because they don't pay for it?
That would be amazing. The problem is, I think that they pay the people that they have to pay, so the system works from them. That's the problem here. But
yeah, but it doesn't go through the proper channels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The whole system there are a lot of proofs that the system is sustained by the working class, is sustained by the people who are paying every month their taxes. But then we have some influent people that are being paid by corporations, by big pharma, by whatever. And they are doing what they want to do. And that's not sustainable because people are going to get angry and more angry every year. So there will be a point, all the French Revolution, all this stuff. The kind of behavior is the same. There are rich people, powerful people who are doing what they want. They are putting us in situations that are horrible. I mean, in my region in Spain, we have been in drought for the last 8 years, something like that. There is no water. And what they are doing is to continue with this system that is killing us. Obviously, people are going to get mad. Obviously, people are going to be violent because they are not providing any solution to this situation. And what we are trying to do with our actions is to avoid these scenarios.
I guess when you look at a lot of the crime, domestic violence, a lot of the ills that we have in society today is brought about by poverty and a lot of the separation between society as well. Looking for someone to blame for a certain situation. If we are homeless, we've got to find somebody to blame for that. Now, it's not so easy to blame Walmart heiress floating out in a bead bag, but we could probably blame that person that maybe got a job because of affirmative action. Or so we think, right? Not that it's a fact or it has a bearing on it, but it's almost as if the media and society is feeding us this so that we fight against each other instead of rising up as one to fight what we really should be fighting for.
I think it's quite interesting because I don't think that we have to look for someone to blame on this. There is a whole system, an economic and political system, which is responsible for the situation that we have. So what we have to do is not just going and saying, hey, this rich guy is the responsible for this, because the rich guy is just living in the system. They have a lot of money and they are using it to promote the system. This is obvious, but they are not even responsible for this. But I think that is some kind of collective responsibility of sustaining this system. We, the people, have the power. We have the opportunity to say, okay, if this system isn't working for us, if we don't want this system, then we have the opportunity to just talk to each other and make decisions like in a community. Like if we were equal and we weren't being pressured by a whole system to make some stuff, then we just have to decide what we want to do, how we want to take decisions, if we want a president or if we want to make the decisions all together, if we want to be part of a larger community or a smaller one, if we want to have people dying in our borders because some economic interest, or if we want to get the people who are trying to go through the borders and give them some water and food and say, hey, guys, just relax. We are going to take care of you. It's like we can decide on what we are going to do. We can decide on what kind of society do we want, and we can work to get that society. There is no need to continue playing this fake theater that we are doing, this fake play, where we are just living to sustain the privilege of a small wealthy class. We can just say no. We can just say, no, I want to work with the people who I want to work on the things that I want to work to make a better world. Obviously, this is going to have costs. We know that when the rich people, that the powerful people see other ones trying to self-organize, to live in another system, they send the police, they send obvious. I'm not saying that we have to confront the police, but maybe we can just ask the police to, hey, please don't come here. We are just self-organizing. I'm pretty sure that you have better things to do. Self-organize yourself also. Say no to the ones that are giving you orders that you don't like.
I think we are a global society, and we are, as a global society, quickly heading to a mass extinction, realistically.
Yeah. This is what the science is saying. And it's very clear about this.
And I don't think it matters how much money you have. You could have every penny on the face of the planet, and it may create a nice paper grave, but that's going to be about it. Because if the planet is gone, the planet is gone.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, it isn't going to affect everyone the same. The poorest people are going to suffer more, obviously, because the rich ones are going to have fresh water for a long time. But there will be a point where there won't be fresh water.
We already see the effects. And right now, you take a look at the stats and you look around the world, and it is the areas that are the richest that are still feeling like they're having a bit of an extended summer vacation. Whereas the poorest people and the countries, some of these countries have zero carbon output, are suffering the most and dying already as a result. There's really an imbalance there, I think, environmentally, not just wealth, but environmentally.
Yeah, we have seen people dying of hunger in Madagascar, wars in Iraq because they didn't have fresh water. For example, even not going so far from me, in my region in Spain, I'm from the south of Spain, from Andalusia, is one of the regions in Europe that is being more affected by the climate crisis. I have all my friends who came from Andalusia. We are going to the north because we are seeing what is coming, and we are afraid of. There is no point at all on me not being able to live where I was born with my family, with my friends, because of the climate crisis is, come on, people, we have to do something. We can do it better.
Yeah. What can we expect in the future then?
We are not going to stop. I'm pretty sure. I can speak from Extinction Rebellion, but I think they feel the same. But Futura Vegetal is going to continue doing what we have been doing, installating more if it's necessary, so we can at least try to face the situation that we are living in. We cannot just look away and act like nothing is happening. It's already happening. We are already suffering from this. We have to stop it. We have to do whatever we can to say enough is enough.
So let me ask you, you were arrested the other day. How many times have you been arrested now? And are you looking at ongoing court cases? Good thing you're a lawyer.
I've been arrested only 3 times, because when I say I'm a lawyer, normally the police says, okay, we are not going to arrest you. But I have been arrested 3 times. Obviously, the 3 times because of protest is obviously it's scary. I don't want to be in a trial. I don't want to be charged because what I'm doing, first of all, I think is legal. We are just exercising our right to protest. And besides that, even if it were illegal, what we are trying to do is the good for the people. It's not like I'm stealing or committing fraud or something like that. I'm just going there with my face, with my ID, and doing a protest, a non-violent protest, to put the climate crisis in the news, to point the responsibles of the climate crisis, to say, hey, we have an enormous problem here. We have to organize. We have to stop this situation before it goes even worse. I don't see the point on putting good people that are doing no harm to anyone, not even the owner of the mega jet. The paint is easy removable. Into
one thing that somebody said too, the paint that you're using is not harmful for the environment, is it?
Yeah. We take a lot of care. Always we do an action. We always use, I don't know the name of this paint in English, but it's ecological and it is a removable paint. We don't want to cause any harm. What we want to do is to protect in a non-violent way and take the opportunity to be in the news or in spaces like this to explain what we have been suffering.
Is there an end to this until you start seeing things change?
There are really people in almost every country doing protests, acting as we are acting. We are really scared. We have seen draws in France. It's not even in Spain that we are used to. It's in France, it's in Germany. The situation is really crazy. It's really, sorry for the expression, but it's really fucked up. And the governments are not doing anything. And so it's normal that the people are going further and further. We need to stop that. So obviously we are going to continue doing our best to stop it.
I was actually at one of the very first Extinction Rebellion events or protests here in Palma 5 years ago. And I have watched the process since. And it has spread across the globe. They're popping up everywhere. It's not just in Europe. It's not just Spain. It's not France. It's like everywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's obvious. There is a need for the people to have hope also. To believe that we can change the things. If not, what sense does our life have? So people are seeing in Extinction Rebellion and all these movements like Futura Vegetal or Just Avoid, etc., some kind of hope that they can say no to what is happening, that they can do something to improve the way we are living. So I think it kind of brings a lot of beautiful things to humanity as a collective, that we can rely on this kind of organizations to at least be able to sleep during the night, to say, hey, I'm taking part. I'm not just looking away. I'm choosing actively every day to fight for a better world. I think that's the best part of this. Even if we don't manage to achieve our goals, at least we can say that we are doing our best.
Extinction Rebellion seems to have become this beacon, and there are a lot of the other smaller climate revolution groups coming in under that fold and working together as one with Extinction Rebellion. What is it about Extinction Rebellion that was the umbrella that people started to come together under?
I think that they have all these principles and values that almost everyone can agree with them. Being non-violent, practicing regenerative culture. Like, it's not just, hey, I want to go to protest against this, and we go do an action, and then each one of us goes to the houses and then forget about everything. No, what Extinction Rebellion and all these groups are proposing is really a cultural society change. Is taking in consideration what's important for us and implementing it in our lives. It's like putting the focus on, first of all, on you, then on the community, then on what you are going to do, the action that you are going to take with the community, and then the whole world. So it's changing this mentality of seeking your own profit, how being like this kind of shark of Wall Street and all this stuff. Instead of putting the objective on this, they are putting the goal on being part of a community, of being resilient, of loving each other, of having a better way of life, I think. At least in my opinion, for me.
Do you have any idea what the numbers are at this stage as it grows bigger and bigger?
In Futura Vegetal, we started just 1 year ago with 5 or 6 people. Currently, we are around 40 people working as a volunteer daily. Then we have around 300 people who are usually doing actions with us. So We're growing a lot also. We're here in Spain. It's for Extinction Rebellion. I'm not sure, but I think they were around more than 100 countries in the world. So I can't say how many people are in Extinction Rebellion.
If the party is going to be over and you've got 100,000 people strong right now, and it's still growing, then there's some thinking that needs to be done and some looking that needs to be done and perhaps some talking that needs to be done in order to make the change that needs to make life better for the planet as a whole.
I have no doubt that the people has the power to change the things. Even if we cannot control the climate crisis because we have already went too far, we can decide how are we going to live the worst part of this. And in the end, all these movements like Futura Vegetal or Just Oil or Extinction Rebellion, what we are proposing is to give the power to the people to choose how they want to live this. So obviously we are going to have a lot of conversations. We are already having a lot of conversations on where do you imagine yourself in 1 year or in 2 years or in 5 years? Everyone is kind of learning and reflecting about this. You can see that the climate activists are learning a lot, not only about climate, not only about protest, but also a lot about themselves. We are facing a mass extinction. We are facing a suffering as we cannot imagine. And still, we have the capacity to learn and to decide how we want to live all these painful events. I think this is quite not only interesting that we as a species has this ability, but also kind of beautiful. Even in the worst moment of our species, we are still able of creating beauty.
You're coming together as one in a cause that you believe in, and that isn't something that people tend to do anymore.
Yep.
I have to say thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it, and for letting the audience out there know what the purpose is behind it, because I think sometimes we tend to be very judgmental, and we come from a place of personal opinion and personal feeling. And the prime example is the stories on social media about a bunch of hippies living off the system. And it turns out the co-founders are a doctor and a lawyer. That kind of puts that to rest, doesn't it? So I think there's a shift coming, and I think we're seeing a change, and a generational change. And it's a generation that's coming up and saying, hey, we want our chance to live. We want our chance to eat. We want our chance to drink water. We want our chance to have children and have a future. So we're going to have to change it because the older generations aren't doing it for us.
Yeah, we couldn't choose the situation where we are living in. We don't want to deal with the shit other generations did. We want an opportunity to decide how do we want to live with the world that we have.
Bilbo Bassaterra from Futura Vegetal, and of course with the Extinction Rebellion, I hope that we've shed some light on the fact that you're not some crazy hippie, and you do have a purpose. Some people might think it's misguided. Others might not. But we all have a right to our own opinions, and I do appreciate having an intellectual conversation with you about it. I wish you the best of luck. I want to say thank you to everyone out there for tuning in. You've been watching another edition of Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next time.